Now, that is a black and white photo, but I will be the first to let you know, if you don't already know, that Helen Pitts Douglas is in fact white. What made this controversial 100 years ago, outside of the fact that everywhere else in the United States it was outlawed that you would marry someone of the opposite race, was that she was 1 year older than Frederick Douglass's oldest child, making her 30 years younger than Frederick Douglass. She was approximately 35, he was approximately 65. Some good game, Frederick Douglass. Neither here nor there. When Frederick Douglass when Frederick Douglass proceeds to marry Helen Pitts, we find that her parents, Helen Pitts' parents, are both abolitionists in Rochester, New York. They've been fighting the battle of African Americans to get free. But when they find out that their daughter is marrying an African American, she is temporarily disowned. Wow. And so here we find in our American history that there were in fact a group of white Americans who believed that African Americans should be free, but still struggle with whether or not they were ever considered equal. Okay? Two other individuals show up at Frederick Douglass's private wedding, because it was private intentionally. His kids aren't there. None of Helen Pitts' family is there. Just Blanche K. Bruce and his wife. And so Blanche K. Bruce serves as Frederick Douglass's best man at his private wedding. Blanche K. Bruce is the first African-American senator to serve a full term for the state of Mississippi. He'll also be the first African-American to sign U.S. Treasury. Not only will he serve as the best man at Frederick Douglass's wedding, but he'll also serve as the pallbearer at his funeral. Okay? Frederick Douglass, over the course of his life, will have 8 different occupations. He'll be an orator, an author, a newspaper publisher. From 1889 to 1891, he'll serve as the U.S. Minister to Haiti. He'll stay there 2 years before Helen Pitts will become sick because of the tropical weather, but also because of some political uprising. And so he'll leave Haiti, but he'll bring it back here to D.C., so much so that he'll paint both his east and west parlors with the tropical trim at the top of each room so that he can remember his visit to Haiti. He'll also in 1877 be elected the U.S. Marshal by the President's administration. And so if you look in this mirror, you'll see one of the rarest oil paintings of Frederick Douglass standing with a baton as the year 1877 U.S. Marshal. Now, Frederick Douglass has a few things in his house that lets us into his personality. Much like you would go into many of the young people's rooms today and see Michael Jackson to Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant tailored and taped on their walls. Frederick Douglass has some different artifacts that let us know what he did in his spare time. He would oftentimes play checkers, and so we know that he was a bit of a competitor. He wasn't able to buy an iPod during Black Friday, but he did have a music box. And whenever he wanted to listen to some good music, his choice of genre was not rap, R&B, and it wasn't even country, contrary to popular belief, but it was Bach and Scottish ballads. Okay? Now, Douglass wants us to know that he's well-versed in Greek mythology. And so Mercury here would have represented eloquence, something that Frederick Douglass prided himself on whenever he was giving speeches. This Roman goddess Diana would have been a protector of slaves. Clyde would have represented consistency, and Psyche, over my left shoulder, would have represented the spirit, soul, and the mind. Okay? I'll lastly make a note to this hard-to-see wax portrait of a gentleman by the name of Oliver Otis Howard. He becomes elected the superintendent of the Freedmen's Bureau that is responsible for helping African Americans after the Civil War be ushered through their freedom. He becomes a champion for education, fighting for the rights of African Americans to be well educated. And it's because of his valiant efforts that he'll get a historically black college here in D.C. named after him in Howard University. Okay? Good friends of Frederick Douglass will talk about his morning routine. He'll wake up, he'll brush his teeth, he'll take a walk, sometimes down those same 85 steps that you all came wheezing up. And he'll come back, get a hot cup of cocoa, and spend approximately 5 hours in this study. This is the study in which he'll write his last autobiography. You'll find over 1,000 of his original books everything from history, science, religion, philosophy, and theology. We know that Frederick Douglass teaches himself how to read and write in English. What's not so publicized is that he'll teach himself how to read and write 3 times in his life: English, French, and German. We later find out that Thomas Jefferson, out of the 7 languages that he learns, finds German the most difficult to comprehend. Okay? There's a little known story about Frederick Douglass that when he was enslaved at the young age of 12, he would oftentimes steal food from his slave master in order to feed poor white kids in exchange for words. And so here Douglass is teaching us a valuable lesson, that he will prefer to starve and gain knowledge than to be full and ignorant. Okay? I'm going to give you all an opportunity to kind of peruse through the study, and I'll meet you over at the West Parlor.
Very good.
That was good. Yeah, that was great.
This is just the beginning.